Well, it is our weekly conversation with Orange assistant coach Alan Griffin. And Griff, man, it's been quite a few days around here, as you know better than most. I think, obviously, we kind of got to start with the Benny Williams situation. Well, what happened here, Griff? How'd the team handle it, and where are you guys at with Benny right now?
I think, where we are is, we spend a lot of time as a staff with our guys on and off the court. We try to be everything that they need us to be, and more. And at the end of the day, for every player, not just Benny, not just Judah, but from our walk-ons as well. And we just care, about Benny, and we just, wish him the best, man. And that's all I can say about it. We truly do, and hopefully, he goes into a situation where he can get all he wants and do great things. He's still part of the family. It's just unfortunate time.
I imagine like something like this happens, Benny, other people over the years, whomever it may be. Like, it's not anything anybody wanted to happen, right? Like, no. How do you deal, I guess, with the aftermath of something like this during the season?
Yeah, you just gotta obviously Benny has been, one of the guys for our team. These guys loved him and respected him and cared about him. So obviously it's going to be a little bit tough on them, just as much as it's tough on us as a staff. But, we got a quick turnaround. We got a game today. And you just got to go out there and play and just you move on from it as quickly as you can. It's going to be quick. It's going to go on quicker for some guys, and it's going to hang on longer for others. And just and coach's door is always open to any of the guys that if they don't understand or they have a hard time with it, they can come in and talk to them or us, any one of us.
I'd say like that's the non-basketball side of it, Griffin. I think that's the side a lot of us go to immediately. Like, man, that's tough for all involved. But you said it, like, you're playing at 7:00 tonight. Like, there are minutes to be accounted for, like, immediately tonight. How do you handle the basketball side of this?
I mean, certain guys are just going to play a little bit more. A guy like Quadier is going to play probably 30, maybe 35 minutes tonight, Chris, Justin, those minutes are going up. Like Peter Carey, Munir, it's minutes out there now. And, our guys just got to be ready. And we had a couple of good days of practice, and we'll see what happens.
Griff, we look at it, and, Red talked about this a lot the offseason. When you looked at the roster, you thought you were going to have, right, a few months ago, there was lots of talk of depth and playing all these guys. And, Chance Westry gets hurt. Now the Benny situation, Naheem McLeod, like you're missing a lot of these pieces you thought you were going to have. How different is it to manage this stuff on game day than, what you thought the plan was going back a few months?
Yeah, it's a lot of firepower. I thought coming into this year, one of the strongest parts of our team was our depth. Like, you know what I mean? And right now, it's on thin ice. But we got guys that are warriors that want to play and are competitors. And those guys, they just got to do it for a longer period of time now.
No choice but that. The game's going to be 40 minutes tonight, and someone's going to be on the court. That's how that always goes. As Alan Griffin is with us, we got Cuse in Louisville tonight. Unfortunately, Griff, I guess we do have to go back to the last game. It was not a pretty performance against Wake Forest. I think all involved can agree that. We all watched Red's post-game press conference. He was just disgusted with it all. How did you guys handle, then? So obviously the many thing happened here, but, practice, getting people back on track. How do you come off of a bad loss like that and keep people locked in at this point?
It's tough because, usually for a program like Syracuse, you probably have that maybe once a year. It happened to us a couple of times now. It was tough, a tough couple of days, especially emotionally, because again, we have standards here, man, and we abide by those standards and go by those standards, and like that was just a situation where it just kind of knocked us all back coaching staff, maybe players and all. So we had to just kind of regroup. Which we had a couple of good days of practice, and hopefully it'll show tonight.
I find it interesting here for Red, and obviously, stepping into the shoes after the guy, right? Like, this is not an easy job for anybody to follow up a Coach K or Roy Williams or, in his case, Coach Bay. I mean, and you said standards. Red has said standards, I don't know, a million times here over the last few months, and he's harped on it. Like, in a guy's first year, like, I know you all have been here for a while, but in his first year in that chair, how important is it for Red to, hammer that stuff home? Because I guess you can only make the first impression once, right?
It's very important because, the one thing that we all have here on our staff, we have pride, and we all, like, this place means a lot to us. Like, Jerry, his time here, myself, my time here, Adrian, his time here, and we have pretty good teams, and we have really good players, and it was, we play for something, and we play for a lot more for the front of our jerseys instead of the back most of the time, like, you know what I mean? And it means a lot to us, and that's what we tried to hit home with our guys, is that this place is a special place. It put us in situations that we couldn't even dream of, and look at the dream that came true for Adrian being a head coach here, like, you know what I mean? Like, so it means a lot to us. So and that's the pride part, and that's what we try to install in our guys every day.
Do you think, Griff, you mentioned it, like, you three are all alums here. Do you think games like Saturday hit you guys harder because you played here?
Sure, definitely, and I think I think that's part of Adrian's press conference. Like, we Syracuse, man. Like, and it means something. Like, it means a lot. We're Syracuse. Like, you go to that game, we got a couple of thousand people that's at Wake Forest cheering us on. We go to Boston College, we almost fill that place up when we go to Boston College. Like, we go to Carolina, we got people in Syracuse, Orange in Carolina. Like, so, like, it's a lot going on here, and it's a lot to play for, and there's a lot of pride that's behind it, and it definitely hurts. It hurts big time.
Well said, Griff. Well said. I want to ask you before we get into the game tonight. I think you saw it when I sent it out last week. Just for a moment of levity here, there was a little clip going around on one of these Twitter accounts that shows old games and whatnot. And it was back in your I think it was your senior year. Going back, you guys blew out Villanova in some game. I didn't remember your hops, man. You got up there and threw down a dunk. I'm like, whoa, what's Griff doing way up there?
When I got on the fast break, I was dunking the ball. In the half court, maybe not so much, but in the fast break, definitely. Yeah, I had a couple dunks in my day. Come on, Brian.
I was just, I remember your career. Like, I know I was in the building when you had the triple-double. It's one of these things that I didn't remember the Griff dunk, so I enjoyed that. I enjoyed watching Griff get up there and throw. That was a good team, man. Like, that, or I guess that was maybe your junior year. Like, you and Jason Hart and Eton Thomas and Blackwell and that whole good. Shumpert was a freshman. My goodness, you guys had some dudes back then.
Yeah, so what I call heat. We had a lot of heat. We had a lot. That year, I would say, that year in my freshman year was the year that I think that we had a team that could have won it all. That freshman year, we lost in the Sweet 16 to Duke down in Florida. Mm-hmm. And then my junior year was when we lost to Michigan State in Detroit. Those were the 2 years out of my 4 years here where I felt like we had a team that could win it all.
Yeah, that Michigan State team, obviously they went on to win the title. The in Detroit part of that one was always a little bothersome, but what can you do, I guess, now 20 some odd years later after thinking back on those days.
Yeah, I think that Duke team won it all too that year.
90. Yeah, what year was that? That would have been 2 years before that. I think Kentucky might have. Duke was really. That feels like a Duke Final Four team at minimum. They were making it every other year back then, anyway.
I think they won it that year. Yeah.
All right, we got Griff here. It is a game day. I do need to ask you about tonight. So we look at this Louisville program here, Griff, and man, they've had a struggle here for the last year and a half or so under their new head coach in Kenny Payne. And then don't look now, right? They go and put up 100 on Florida State on Saturday. What do you see when you put Louisville on tape? And how did they pull out a performance like that on Saturday?
They're playing hard. I give Kenny Payne and his staff a lot of credit. He got those guys competing every game, day in every game. Like, their record doesn't indicate they're playing how they're playing right now. Obviously that game against Florida State, they had a freshman step up and get career highs, in two categories, assists and points, and Tyler Johnson. Again, Kenny Payne deserve a lot of credits for, because they can easily tank it. And those guys are playing hard for him, really hard. They're going to come in here and battle us to the very end.
All right, well, that's coming up tonight, obviously, at 7. One last before I let you go, and just a slight look ahead, because your guy Joe Girard's coming back on Saturday, speaking of crazy emotions that happen in this transfer portal era. What do you think that's going to be like on Saturday afternoon in the Dome?
We're going to kidnap Joe. We know what... And when he comes back to Syracuse, we're going to find him, we're going to kidnap him and put him in storage for a couple hours. And once the game's over, we're going to put him back on their plane and send him back down to South Carolina. But no, it's going to be a really emotional game, obviously, for Joe, because the one thing Joe did was he loved Syracuse. We knew that. We knew it. We know it. But obviously he's playing great with a really good Clemson team, and it's gonna be fun. I think our guys is gonna be up to it. They love Joe. Joe was one of their teammates, so it's gonna be a fun game. And the one thing I would say, Brian, is this: I hope the fans don't boo that kid. I hope they cheer him on, because he did so much for our program when he was here. He doesn't deserve boos. He deserves a lot of credit. I think he should get a standing ovation, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've said this for months now. I've said this for a year now, basically, Griff. Like the starting, I've never been excited about starting lineups for the opposing team before. Like I'm fascinated by what's going to happen. But here's to that. I mean, the guy was here 4 years. Why not show him a little support on Saturday, at least until the game starts? I mean, once the game starts, all bets are off. But there we are.
I want our PA announcer to announce him last, so that he deserves a standing ovation, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, Mike Feely, take notes on that. Take notes from Griff on the order of operations.
And hopefully, Brian, that it'll get him so emotional that he can't play well.
I like it. You got two strategies. One, we're going to lock him in storage, and two, if that doesn't fail, we're going to bring him to tears before the game starts. You got to win every which way you can. All right, Griff. Good stuff as always. Good luck tonight. We'll do it again next week. All right.